Okay, everyone, I think we will go ahead and get started here. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar today. My name is Shauna Slabiota. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I work in the graduate division here at UC San Diego. This is the first event in our graduate Triton Weeks of Welcome. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited. We're happy to welcome you into our graduate student community. And speaking of community, that is the theme of this first week for our events. It's finding your community. And we have some special guests here today from our campus community centers. And before I have them start their presentation, I just wanted to cover a couple of things. So first of all, for the webinar that we have here today, please use the Q&A feature to ask your questions. And participants have the ability to upvote other questions if they want to. If you see that someone's asked a question you definitely want to have answered, you can definitely do that. We will be monitoring the Q&A through the webinar. And so there's that. So we're not using the chat today, just to confirm. Also, we are recording today's session and it will be posted online on the orientation portion of the GradLife website. So you can go ahead and look for that recording to come up soon. And I think if we can head to the next slide. So I just mentioned the GradLife website. So GradLife, which is gradlife.ucsd.edu, this is a resource for current graduate students. There's a lot of great information on here. If you have not had a chance to check it out, I encourage you to do so. And it's under events where you will find orientation information. So you can access the online orientation modules that Graduate Division has made available this year. This is the first year that we are doing these modules. They are available through Canvas, which is the campus's learning management system. So this will be a system that you will become familiar with while at UC San Diego. And the modules have videos where they talk about 4 main campus resources: Graduate Division, Student Health, the Office for the Prevention of Discrimination and Harassment, and Counseling and Psychological Services. You can access those modules at any time from anywhere. It's totally self-paced orientation content there. You will also find on this website the full schedule of the Graduate Triton Weeks of Welcome. These events are done in partnership between the Graduate Division and the Graduate Student Association. And so we've been working on these together, and every Tuesday afternoon, we're going to be hosting these information sessions. The registration links for all of the Tuesday sessions are on this page. So again, I encourage you to check it out and to register for the upcoming webinars that we will be offering. And then these are the other events that we will be hosting this week. So right now we are learning about the campus community centers, and then tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, the Graduate Student Association, GSA, has organized some fun community building events, including the dance party on Friday. The links to all of these online sessions were sent to you via email. So if you're having trouble finding those, you can contact gradlife@ucsd.edu and we will help you out. But we have not posted these on the website as of right now, but definitely check your email to find those links and let us know if you have any questions. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Marnie.
Thank you, Shauna. Welcome, everyone. My name is Marnie Briccolo. My gender pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the director at the Women's Center at UC San Diego. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. I'm excited to be here today with some of my colleagues from the campus community centers and programs who will introduce themselves later in the presentation as we go through and share with you a little bit about our work. So what we plan to cover today is a little bit about the history of our centers, how we came to be at UC San Diego. And next we'll talk about each of the centers and programs so you can learn a little bit about who we each are as individual centers and programs. And then we'll wrap up with your questions for us about the centers and programs and anything related to our work on campus that we might be able to answer for you. So a little bit about our history. So the pictures that you are seeing on this slide are just a few of the pictures of activism that have taken place on our campus over the years and advocacy to get our centers and programs established on campus. While each of our centers and programs has their own unique history of how we came to be on campus, all of the centers and programs in some way are connected to students, staff, faculty, community advocacy, saying that these spaces are needed on campus to support students who have been historically minoritized or marginalized in our communities. So all of our centers are grounded in this history and it guides our work even now as we are established as actual departments on the campus or programs on the campus. So we always want to remember that we are all here because of students such as yourselves now as incoming students who really said that these spaces are vital to their success on campus. And that's why we are here. And that's why we exist, to support community on campus, to support your success at the university and beyond. So who are the campus community centers and programs? There are 8 entities that make up the campus community centers and programs. We are all under the Office for the Vice Chancellor of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We are the Black Resource Center, the Intertribal Resource Center, the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Resource Center, Asian Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern, Desi American Programs and Services, the Raza Resource Center, the Women's Center, the CrossCultural Center, and the PACS programs. So all of us collectively go by the campus community centers and programs, and we have a shared vision that is grounded in social justice and grounded in advancing equity on our campus and building community on our campus. As many of you likely know, UC San Diego is a wonderful research university. It's a large campus, but sometimes it could be really challenging to find your people, your community, to get that support that you need to thrive on campus. And all of our centers and programs are committed to being those spaces for students on campus. So a little bit about what we collectively believe. So we believe that ending one oppression requires ending all oppressions. So while each of our centers have their own specific mission and vision and community that we focus on, we all do this from a strong intersectional lens, knowing that each student, each person brings their whole selves to them in any room they walk into, in any class they're in any center or program that they participate in. So while the Women's Center might focus on gender and ending sexism, we do that through a lens that is linked to how do we end racism, how do we end ableism, how do we end transphobia, and really thinking about our work through that lens and that commitment to social justice for all of our communities. So we facilitate interactive learning. We do a lot of different workshops. We bring speakers, a lot of engagement to allow folks to learn and develop. We promote self-awareness. We foster leadership development, encourage dialogue, and challenge traditional notions of diversity. And when we say that, we really think about how a lot of diversity programs. And a lot of the times when people think about diversity, they only think about one narrow piece of identity. And like I said, we really want to push against that and complicate that for the communities that we work with. And through our partnerships with each other, as well as with the general campus community and larger San Diego community, we really try to build and sustain a socially just campus climate. And we do this in a lot of different ways. Many of our staff are involved in various committees on campus. We engage with this work campus-wide through our efforts with the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office. So we are really committed to making the campus a better place for all. So what's some of what we provide? Academic and social support, diversity and social justice workshops. We have, many of us have spaces, and we'll talk a little bit about how our spaces might differ, but some of the things that those of us who have physical spaces on campus will offer, and we hope that you'll be able to visit our physical spaces soon. We know that doing this virtually is probably not the experience you hoped for, and neither do we. So we hope that at some point it'll be safe to invite you to see our spaces. But our spaces are really meant to be homes away from home for the campus community. So we have study, we have nap spaces, we have kitchens. Some of us have computers and printing services. We offer employment opportunities for both undergrad and graduate students. We have peer education programs. We are connected with counseling and psychological services staff and are able to connect the community to those resources in a way that is culturally responsive. Often when we have our in-person programming, we love to offer food and really build community through that shared experience of those informal interactions that happen every day in our spaces or in our programs that we host. Sometimes we have free testing materials. We have community space where people can just kind of come together and be. For many grad students, we offer spaces that they can reserve for office hours or sometimes even for smaller classes in those of our spaces that have conference rooms. And we have volunteer opportunities and really seek to engage the community in ways that support the student experience on campus. So I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about the Women's Center, and then we'll have each of the guests that are with us today talk a little bit about their centers or programs that they're here representing. So the Women's Center was founded in 1996, and like I mentioned earlier, all of our centers were developed through a long history of advocacy. So our center came to be because many students, staff, and faculty thought that there wasn't any space on campus to really explore the experience of students, staff, and faculty through the lens of gender, to talk about sexism, to talk about feminism, to talk about social justice issues. So our center was established. A few of the programs that we offer include Women's History Month programming. So we bring speakers, we do film screenings, we sponsor art exhibits, and this is an opportunity also for grad students to really engage with our work. This past year, we were able to work with a lot of grad students, women in STEM, who did a really great art exhibit, showcasing the artistic talents of women in STEM and kind of complicating the idea of what does it mean to be a woman in STEM. We have the STEMtership Network, which is a program specifically geared towards undergraduate students in STEM, where we've been able to actually make great connections between women and other gender marginalized people in STEM to graduate students. And then we have a graduate community intern who wasn't able to join us today, but is a great resource and has just started with us in the last couple of weeks. And really her whole mission is going to be to create experiences to build community within the Women's Center targeting graduate students. So you can always reach out to us through our social media or our email, and we could get you connected to Michelle. Liu is her name, and we're really excited to have her on board. And even though we've been virtual, we've been really trying to engage through our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, through live programs through the space. So we will continue to provide these opportunities until it's safe to be back on campus. So I encourage you to join our e-news and to follow us on our social media to continue to keep up to date with what we've got going on, because we have a lot of opportunities to engage and connect. And with that, I think I am passing it over to Greg.
Hi, folks. Hi, my name is Greg, and my pronouns are he, him, his, or they, them, them. They, them, theirs, sorry, I'm out of it, it's early. So I'm the Graduate Climate and Community Intern for the LGBTQ Resource Center, the LGBT Resource Center. And I'm also a third-year PhD student in Ethnic Studies. And I'm here to talk to you today about the LGBT Resource Center, or the LGBTRC, and our services and how you can get involved, like Marnie was saying. So just a little history. So in 1999, UCSD opened the LGBT Resource Office after years of student organizing and beginning with a report written by an undergraduate student advocating for the space. So this is a student initiated, a student ran, right? Since then, we've grown to 3 career staff, a graduate intern position, which I just started, a high school internship program with the pre-school, which is right next to UCSD, and a robust undergraduate peer social justice education program, as well as internships in the areas of operations, programming, and community development, engagement, sorry. So our center is actually located in the old student center. So it's close to the Art of Espresso, which is probably one of the cheapest and best coffees on campus. That's just my opinion. And so our center also, aims to develop, like all other centers, aims to develop student leadership, build workplace equity, promote academic research, and provide resources by centering values of family, community, respect, and social justice. So through these various things such as community education, retention, and recruitment, and other programs, the PRC aims to foster community solidarity across campus, as with all the other centers as well. So in terms of like the physical space, we have a library, conference room, study spaces, and computers. And it's pretty good. So the LGBT Research Center also houses groups such as the Black Queer Collective, the QDPOC, Queer Trans POC, and other organizations. So we also have discussion groups such as the Coming Out group, the Beyond Binaries Collective, and others. The LGBTRC also houses a dedicated counseling and psychological services counselor, Dr. Kat Thompson, who you can look up on our website and kind of get to know a little bit, who specializes in LGBTQ plus wellness and care. So other than these services in the physical space, of particular interest to grad students, especially grad students who identify as queer, trans, POC, LGBTQIA plus, is the Queer Graduate Student Association, which was founded last year by a bunch of grad students who wanted a space to build community. So the QGSA was started last year, and it aimed to build connections between graduate students across different departments, disciplines, and communities. So during that time, 2 mixers were held and hosted, and they were really fun. I went, but we're looking forward to hopefully helping that kind of get off the ground a little bit some more and to continue to build community. So of the many services and events that the LGBTRC is involved in, such as, the Trans Day of Empowerment and Remembrance, World AIDS Day, and like most universities, Rainbow Graduation. We also, we also do other things. So please check out our website. It's at the bottom of the page, lgbt.ucsd.edu, to keep up with what we're doing. And I'm gonna make one last point as LGBTRC grad climate and community intern. Is that it's my job, like others have said before, to be there to facilitate community spaces and dialogue and community for LGBTQIA plus grads, especially, during all this, everything that's going on right now, and especially because the campus is online at the moment. So I'm really eager to collaborate with any of you who have any ideas, who have questions, who really want to reach out and try to, build community. Especially, on a personal note, when I first came to UCSD, it was really difficult to build community at first. So I'm passionate about making that accessible. So if you ever have any questions or concerns about, adapting to life at UCSD as a queer trans person, please reach out to me. My email's on the slide. And in the near future, we'll be hosting community office hours that are to be determined, and I invite you all to join. You can either email me or sign up to receive our Rainbow newsletter. which basically gives you all the updates about the LGBTRC and the other community centers. And that's at our website as well. So in any case, please don't hesitate to like reach out to me or to chat. So yeah, thank you and welcome to UCSD. So, and I think next it is, I don't know who's going next, but I'm
it's me for the Black Resource Center. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. So our colleagues from the Black Resource Center were not able to join us today. So I'm just going to share a little bit about their work. So the Black Resource Center was established in 2013, also after a series of activism, after racist events that happened on our campus that led to increased activism to create a space specifically geared towards the Black experience at UC San Diego. So the Black Resource Center is a campus community center that centers the Black experience and really looks at intra-community diversity and the full diversity of the Black experience through their programs and through the work that they do. As you can see, a few of their programs include the Black Student Success Institute, the Peer Guidance Program, the Black Resource Center Internship Program, and the Black Graduation Ceremony. And all of our centers and programs are really excited this year to have a grad intern who is going to be specifically focused, like Greg is, on building community within our center. So you'll be able to reach out to the Black Resource Center if you'd like to get connected specifically with their programming that is targeting Black students and the Black experience, and connect with the professional staff at the center as well as their grad intern. And the Black Resource Center, like the Women's Center and the LGBT Resource Center, we are all located in the original Student Center. So when you are able to visit us, we're all very close to each other. So you're able to kind of see all of our spaces. They have a wonderful space similar to what Greg and I said about the Women's Center and the LGBT Resource Center. They have a great lounge space, a computer lab, a conference room, and are a wonderful place to get connected to. They also have various graduate student groups that are specifically focused on the Black experience. So I hope that if you have additional questions or want to get connected with that community, that you are able to connect with the Black Resource Center. They're great. Portia is their director, Tay is their assistant director, and both of them will be able to make sure that you're well connected and supported here on campus. And with that, next is Wendy to talk about the CrossCultural Center.
Hi everyone, my name is Wendy Sasaki. I use she and they series pronouns. I don't work for the CrossCultural Center, so I will talk a little bit about my title when we get to this, the program that I do work for. But the CrossCultural Center is the oldest of the campus community centers and programs. It opened in 1995, and there is a lovely timeline of a lot of the activism outside of the CrossCultural Center. So when you do come visit campus, the CrossCultural Center is located on the second floor, Price Center East, and you can explore some of the different kinds of histories of the CrossCultural Center and the activism that led up to opening this particular space. Students wanted this space so that there would be a place to gather and know that there were people who were interested in learning more about social justice and talking about our different identities and what that means for all of us to be able to understand each other a lot better and to help build coalitions and do more advocacy. Again, the CrossCultural Center, like many of the other spaces, has different places where people come. There's a library, there's a lot of comfy couches there. People take naps there sometimes. There's refrigerators, and people sometimes will drop off their lunch and come back and get some things later, heat that up there. And a lot of graduate students use the space to hold their office hours either in the lobby or sometimes can work with the staff to reserve a small room if it's available in order to hold those office hours. So this is sometimes a place where folks kind of come and are able to kind of gather and do some other types of work. There's also some different types of programming that they are doing. They have a Social Justice Leadership Academy for folks who want to spend a dedicated amount of time to learn more about social justice and the ways that they can engage more with activism on campus and in their fields and in the community. There's one of the spaces is an art gallery, and some of the undergraduate staff work with the professional staff to curate art there. And so they hold receptions and other kinds of education. You can walk through at any time that the space is open and look at the different kinds of curated art that is in the art space and in other places in the center. And a lot of the work of the CrossCultural Center has been doing social justice workshops and other education broadly for the community. They work with a lot of departments to hold lectures and provide some different spaces for education and learning. A lot of that right now has been brought online. So if you visit their website, you can see the things that were done in the spring. A lot of them are on their YouTube channel, so you can review the types of workshops that they had been doing and work with their graduate community intern around some things that you might be interested in seeing, as that person will be doing a lot of the community building and some things around training that can target the needs of our graduate community. So please visit their website. You can sign up for their newsletter. All of our centers and programs have weekly or about weekly e-newses, and so you'll get some emails about what's going on and how to get involved.
Thanks, Wendy. And the next center that I'm going to be discussing is the Raza Resource Center. So again, our colleagues were not able to join us today, but they have a lot of wonderful programs and work that they do. And their work is specifically geared towards supporting Chicanx and Latinx students, staff, faculty on campus. They are really committed to access, retention, and graduation work. They have many programs, as you can see from the slide. Avanzando Juntos is their transition program that they have for incoming students. They have their student and research and conference program, which is really cool. They help support students in getting their research proposals written, and they support students in attending a variety of conferences. They have learning specialists in STEM and social sciences. So a lot of academic support that they provide through the Centro. They also do a lot of events to engage the broader community. Dia de los Muertos is one of their large events. And then they also hold a community graduation. And one of the programs not listed, but that Gerardo, their director, asked me to mention is the Writing Collective. So the Writing Collective is a program that gives the opportunity for students to enhance their writing skills, to get support, to talk about their writing. And they also are hiring grad mentors for undergrads. So if that's something that you're interested in, is getting involved in mentoring undergrad students, through the RRC, there are opportunities to provide that support to undergrads. And similar to the other centers and programs, they will have a grad intern who will be focused on connecting with the community of grad students. So look out for that or reach out to them directly. We'll be sharing on our last slide all of our emails for our central email for each of our offices, so that you can connect directly with us. You could talk to staff at any of our centers or programs and get more information. Like I mentioned before, while we're not in our physical spaces, we're still here to support you all virtually, and we'll do that, you know, through phone calls or Zoom meetings or whatever works for individual students, and are also here to talk through ideas that you have. I know last year, both the Women's Center and the Raza Resource Center met with some Latina grad students who wanted to start a student organization for Latinas earning their PhDs. So we were able to have some good conversation and support the students in getting them that started. So if you don't find an organization here that fits your needs, or if you have an idea for something that would better your experience or the experience of the community on campus. All of the centers and programs also offer a lot of support and consultation and helping you to navigate the campus and getting those ideas to come to fruition. So that's just something else to keep in mind, that if there's something that you're not seeing, just, we're a good place to reach out to and at least start the conversation. Many of us have been on campus a long time. Some of us are alumni of the campus and are able to help navigate the complexity of campus with you. And with that, I'll hand it off to Kelly to talk about the ITRC.
Hello, my name is Kelly Stewart. I am a descendant of the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians, and I am also Gabrielino Tongva. I'm the graduate student assistant for the Intertribal Resource Center, and I am also a first-year doctoral student in the joint degree program in educational leadership in education studies. And I'm going to apologize really quick because my cat is going to make appearances throughout this. I told him to stay in the room, but he decided he didn't want to listen. So if you see a cat, I apologize. But I also want to take a moment to acknowledge that UC San Diego sits on the unceded territory of the Kumeyaay peoples. And another thing is San Diego is home to 18 tribal reservations. And we don't always know when or where we're on a reservation, but chances are, depending on which route if you're driving into San Diego, you're gonna pass through a reservation. And you might know it because the roads are gonna be a little rougher. And this is something that a lot of individuals are aware of, and we don't think about it on a daily basis as we go about our days. And that's primarily because Indigenous history is not taught in public schools. And it also speaks to the marginalization and erasure of the original inhabitants of Southern California. So a little background on the ITRC. It can't be denied that there's always been allyship between Black student organizations and American Indian organizations, student organizations. Our history with colonization is deeply connected. So the ITRC was created in a direct response to student activism following the events of the Compton Cookout. And the Compton Cookout brought to light many of the inequities in higher education for Black, Indigenous, and other students of color. And as a result of this, American Indian students fought for a center that would be able to support their academic and professional lives and development, while also providing a sanctuary for Indigenous students. So I can speak for myself and say, as an Indigenous student, my community, my family is of great importance to me. And sometimes being at a big university is really lonely. So the ITRC, it was literally the first building I went, or center I went to, and building I went to when I went for a campus visit before I even applied to campus. And I knew from the moment that I walked in that I had found a place where if I was missing mom or missing dad or missing my sisters or my brother, I could go hang out at the ITRC with the staff and with other students, and I wouldn't feel so lonely. After operating over several years under student oversight, the ITRC was able to hire their first full-time staff, Dr. Elena Hood, in 2016. And today we're staffed with the director, a coordinator, Corinne, Hensley Delafield, an undergraduate student assistant. If you know any undergraduates, that position will be opening. The graduate student assistant, which is me, and we recently hired a graduate community intern named Juan Reynoso, who is Kumeyaay from San Pascual, and he'll be starting in the next few weeks, and we'll be working closely with ITRC and the grad division. We're located in Price Center, which is home to many meeting spaces, event spaces, other centers, entertainment venues, and restaurants. So if you're ever looking for the ITRC, we're hidden, very hard to find. But if you could find Rubio's, you just have to go upstairs and you'll find the ITRC, because we are located directly above Rubio's. And I highly recommend the salads there, they're delicious. The ITRC, through our programming and advocacy, we aim to address the marginalization and erasure of Indigenous peoples by providing support to Indigenous students. So even though our focus is on Native students or Indigenous students, our programming is open to all UCSD students. So if you need to print, if you want to learn more about Indigenous issues, if you just want to come and hang out because you want to eat the salad you got from Rubio's and we have a table, feel free to come in and join us. Corinne, Elena, and I are typically there almost every day. Some of the events that we host are Native Heritage Month. So November, we're working on making this virtual since we don't know exactly when we'll be back. And because we are the smallest center, we'll probably be the last center to come back. We can seat probably 12 people. So with social distancing, that just doesn't work. We have the American Indian Writing Circle, and this is a collaboration with the Writing Hub, where graduate students come, and I host this event. We do a little socializing. We'll talk about what's going on in our lives, what we're struggling with writing. We have a graduate consultant from the Writing Hub come once a week so that we have someone outside of the community to help us with our work. And we just write. We're really focused on getting ahead on dissertations and papers and presentations. So we spend a lot of time writing. Each May we have our annual powwow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we will be having it May 2021 because unfortunately we had to postpone it for 2020. We also work with and outreach to local tribal communities. And we have student organizations that students are welcome to join. So we have the Native American Student Alliance, which is typically for our undergrad students. We have the American Indian Graduate Student Association and the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. And one that's not on here, and I don't have the full name for it, is we have a new one for our medical students. We also have community graduation. We help students submit proposals for conferences. We provide opportunities and space for students to rehearse for dissertation proposals and defense presentations. We're looking into starting a mentorship program in 2020-21 academic year. And if you want to find out a little more about Elena, Corinne, me, or the center, or want to email us, or our virtual programming, because we occasionally will have a Netflix party, you can visit the ITRC website at itrc.ucsd.edu. And you can also sign up for our newsletters. And if you have any questions or anything, you can email any of us. I know what it's like. My program started in January, so I'm just as new as the rest of you. And I know starting a new campus is very scary and can bring a lot of anxiety. And if there's any way that I can assist in alleviating that anxiety, or if you have questions about anything regarding Indigenous issues, you can email me. My contact and my bio is on the website. I didn't put it on the slide because I didn't think about it. But that's it for the ITRC. We're on to.
That's me. So again, I'm Wendy. My Aishi and they series pronouns. And so I serve the campus as the Asian Pacific Islander Middle Eastern Thesi American Program Manager and run APAMEDA programs and services. So UCSD uses a unique acronym to describe a very diverse group of students. So we center the experiences of Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Middle Eastern American students on our campus. And so particularly in our graduate student communities, that is a much smaller population than in our undergraduate population. And so we've heard from a lot of students that sometimes they have some trouble finding each other and trying to build some community, and the sizes of those populations varies very largely across the different ethnic groups that this includes and across the divisions. So when you all applied, you had options to select how you identify, and folks who identify as APAMEDA come from as many as 60 different ethnic groups and populations on our campus. So we hired a graduate community intern as well, and she just started. So we're still trying to determine what our graduate student focused programming will look like. We've had a lot of our graduate students join us for general types of workshops around career development and how to talk about your experiences in working with how to put that into words when you're doing your interviews, and also how to talk to your families about what's happening and what you're doing and why you're doing this thing that sometimes our families don't always understand. We have some work around coalition building that we hope that more graduate students will engage with us in, some different kinds of things about learning about histories of our populations, which a lot of times in the context of the history classes that many of us are taking in the US don't get shared and taught. So we want to be able to do things that make all of us much more aware of some of these histories and the coalition building and activism that has historically taken place in them. Our office publishes a book called the Apameda Life Book that is designed to help students navigate a campus, particularly for the first time. You can find every version of that publication on our website. I encourage you to use it. If you find anything that is helpful, you know that it's always there, and you can have access to it any time of day, any day of the year, as long as you have the internet. So we're doing more things around some of the different kinds of awareness of the diversity, including some of the different Heritage Month programming, and some partnerships that we've historically done with the LGBT Resource Center about the intersection of Apameda and LGBTQ communities, and helping some folks kind of find each other and build a stronger set of community. There is only one Asian American organization that I'm aware of, and it's in the School of Medicine, Islander Graduate Student Association. So if you're interested in that, I suggest you email me directly. I can get you in contact with folks who might be interested in that. Our Middle Eastern American graduate community is really small, and so trying to connect with some folks around that hasn't been something that people have expressed an interest in, although if you're interested in, I'm happy to help support trying to find those communities for you. Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy. So the last of the centers and programs that I'm going to talk about is our Path Scholars program. So the Path Scholars program's mission at UC San Diego is to increase the number, persistence, and success of under-resourced and underrepresented minority students in STEM. And while this program specifically is focused on undergraduate students, I wanted to share it with you in part because it's part of our collective of campus community centers and programs, but in part because they will have opportunities for graduate advocates to be part of the program and serve as mentors to the Path Scholars. So if this is something that is of interest to you, please feel free to reach out to Lupe. Lupe is the director of the Path Scholars program at gcruz@ucsd.edu, and she can give you more information about that. But it's another great way to get connected on campus and to provide support to undergrads, but also build community with other grad students who are interested in providing those connections and support to our undergrad scholars. So just another reminder that we are here to support you virtually. We have many opportunities to connect. We have mailing lists. You can find them on each of our websites to subscribe. We have our websites themselves, which have a lot of great information about our programs and about what we have to offer. We have social media presence, so follow us on our various social media and reach out to us. Like you heard from many who spoke, you know, some of us on the call are grad students ourselves, so some of us can offer that sort of support and that kind of peer-to-peer connection to talk about experiences at UCSD and to just build that community. some of us who are staff can also support in a variety of ways and make sure that you're connected here on campus. We know that starting a new experience at a new campus, likely for many of you, or at the very least in a new program, can be really challenging under the best of circumstances, and just want to make sure that you have all of the support and resources available to enjoy your experience here and to build those connections on campus.